Hi friend, happy day, whatever day you're watching this. I'm so excited to be doing another baking video with y'all. Today, I just felt very cozy and like fall-ish today. So I've got my jumper on and I want to bake something. I don't know what that's going to be. I have a few things that I've been wanting or meaning to try out for my small business menu-wise. So I think I might take you through a bit of what that process looks like. I think I really want to get a pumpkin muffin on the cards. Like when I grew up, every single day, this is not healthy, but every single day before school, my dad would take me to get a Panera pumpkin muffin. And I just feel like that is deep within my DNA at this point. And it just brought me so much happiness every single day. So I think moving forward for literally every day following until winter comes, I think I want to eat a pumpkin muffin. So I'm thinking some type of way to utilize my discard. We do love a good discard recipe here. It's mainly because I have an obscene amount of discard that I just sit and I just kind of figure out what to do with later. So I'm thinking a discard pumpkin muffin because you got that sweetness, but I do like when it's a little bit tartar. So I'm thinking using some discard, and then I know how to make my loaves into the shape of a pumpkin, but I'm not quite sure I'm sold on the thought of a pumpkin loaf. So I'm kind of thinking something more in the realms of like warm apple kind of vibes with a little bit of cinnamon, maybe like some apple butter vibes. I'm not quite sure. We are gonna workshop that and then we'll figure out as we go what that's gonna look like. But I'm thinking, you know, fall, you got apple picking, you've also got the smell of cinnamon going around. So I'm thinking that might work and pair really well. And then also like cinnamon rolls. Okay, so a little while ago on my Instagram, I did a poll saying, if I started selling cinnamon rolls, would y'all buy it? And I got a resounding yes, and one no. And I can respect the no. Because cinnamon rolls are special, but again, this is something special to me. I just want to create things that I personally love and have something memory-wise that brings me joy, that I'm able to bring joy to other people, if that makes sense. So when I was younger, every holiday we had cinnamon rolls. Cinnamon rolls and bacon without fail was on the kitchen counter when I came down for Christmas, Thanksgiving. Oh man, St. Patrick's Day, like anything that we had like holiday wise, Easter, we would have cinnamon rolls. Like that is just a staple in my house, and I kind of want to continue that, but I want to make it personally versus having to go out and buy it, because I don't know the secret that mothers put in their food, but like they put some type of magic to where you can't replicate it, and I think that's actually unfair. And I've never been able to get my cinnamon rolls to taste like hers. I don't know what it is. She's given me the recipe. Couldn't tell you how I can't replicate it, but I simply cannot. So that is what I'm thinking, but I still want to stick with that like fall theme. So I'm thinking like a maple brown sugar moment as the filling rather than just a regular cinnamon sugar. I think a brown sugar maple or maple brown sugar, however you want to phrase that, would be really, really good with maple icing on top. Like it really brings in the fall coziness, because I also think of brown sugar when I think of fall. I think of the fall colors, and then I also think of maple leaves like changing colors. I think that's what we're gonna work with today. So without further ado, let's just get right into the video. First thing that it says to do is to get some milk warmed up. So we're gonna grab a cute little bowl, and then we're gonna put, I think it was 1.25 cups in the microwave for 40 to 45 seconds. And this set of beautiful measuring cups offers 3/4 cup. It's so nice. I used to do, I don't know if you remember, but I used to do 3/4 cups to make 3/4 cup, and it was just embarrassing, honestly. Okay, I'm gonna pour this in there. Okay, now I'm gonna add 1/4 teaspoon of active dry yeast, because that's what it says to do. That might have been a little bit more. And then it's 2 teaspoons as well. Okay, so let's grab a teaspoon here and add that. I might just have to use all of what I have, which is fine. I should just buy the big one. The thing is, I get this style for Christmas or like holidays or birthdays or whatever. And so I always have these on hand, but I really should just buy a large one so I don't have to play, is this gonna be enough game every single time. All right, there's a teaspoon, and now here's another teaspoon. Perfect. I'm gonna add a 1/4 cup of granulated sugar to this because she told me to. This is what it's looking like currently, and I wish you could smell it. Like, we are in 2024. I feel like we should get to the point where y'all can smell things through cameras by now, because this smells so good. Just think of like the quintessential yeast smell. It's my favorite thing. And it just might be me. I don't know. Maybe that's me being weird, but this smells so stinking good. Okay, now we are going to add a 1/4 cup of salted butter, and luckily I have just enough. So let's get this out and then put this in the microwave. I think probably about 30 seconds would be good, but we'll see. Also, we're gonna put 1 egg and an egg yolk into the mixture that we have with the dry yeast and the sugar and the milk, but it needs to be room temperature. Sorry, I just worked all day long. My brain is not working properly. So I took this out while we were doing the rest of the stuff, so like it would have some time to kind of warm up. Perfect. Okay, now we're gonna add the melted butter. Ooh, that is a tad bit hot. Okay. Wow, that is quite. These are warmer. Let's add the full egg first, and then I'm gonna go behind you and do the egg yolk. Okay, and then egg yolk. I was correct. We're gonna be using a paddle attachment. Now, is this gonna be a good baking day? Let's see, let's see, let's see. Oh, beautiful. Okay, we're gonna mix this together, and then we're gonna add the bread flour and the salt after. 3 cups of bread flour going in. Let's hope we've got 3 cups in here. I think we do, actually. Okay, which one? All right. Here's cup number 1, so you can see. Number 2, 3 cups, and then I believe it was like 3/4 of a teaspoon. Well, that was bang on. It was 3/4 of a teaspoon. So we're gonna do what old me used to do with regular. We're gonna add 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now that that's come together, I'm gonna take this out and then move you all back, and then we're gonna knead this dough together. Flour the surface. Lovely, okay. I'm literally just gonna start combining this into our dough. But this is quite honestly my favorite part of baking. Any type of dough, or making any type of dough, just kneading is my favorite thing. I think what really and truly started this for me came from when I was originally making pizza dough for my husband. As I said, like, I would always try to do things to kind of like honor him and thank him for, you know, kind of supporting us in the meantime while I didn't have a job. And one of his favorite things to eat comes no surprise that it is pizza. So one night I went full out. I wish I'd been filming at the time because it just would have been hilarious for y'all to see. But I went full out. I covered our dining room table that you see often in like a white sheet. I got some fairy lights hung. I made pizza dough for the first time, and the main thing I did, I mean, pizza dough is so simple. If you haven't made pizza dough yet, I highly recommend it. It's such a rewarding process, but it's so quick. It's like a one pot, what do they call that in cooking? One pan dish or something like that. It's like a one pot dish. Like, it requires pretty much nothing. It's just a lot of like, you know, proofing time. But the main thing that you're doing, you know, labor wise, is just kneading the dough. And I remember like sitting there on the phone with my friend, just talking about life and kneading this dough, and I just felt so happy and giddy, like that I created something like this. And it was just so sweet. And so once it was done and he came off of work because he had to go in the office that day, he came back. I was like dressed as a waiter. I had a mustache on. Like, it was really, really fun. But we went to the store and we grabbed, you know, toppings and things like that. And I found that's just such a like great group or date project to do with friends or your significant other. It's just so fun to, you know, create something together, but be able to enjoy it, you know, playing games or watching a movie, or I don't know, going somewhere, or just having like that be your main activity for the night. It is just so rewarding and so fun. And I think that's what really started this whole journey for me. It's just something as simple as pizza dough. So let me know what started you into your interests or hobbies that you love doing but don't get to do enough. Like, what was the one moment where you sat back and you're like, I want to do this forever, you know? Because kneading dough for me is that. And I'm not a professional kneader, I will say that. I've watched Paul Hollywood do it enough times and I still can't master it, but it's something that I'm working towards, and I just enjoy it so much that like I don't even care if it's perfect or not, because it's just so stinking fun. And I always say, if you can't play with your food, then I don't respectfully want to eat it, because I just think this is so much more fun, and you feel more proud of the result that you got when you're putting this much effort into it, you know? Like something as simple as, I don't know, tacos or something, it's not as rewarding. Like, yes, tacos are good, but you don't know that you put in some elbow grease to get there like you would a pizza dough or cinnamon rolls like we're gonna enjoy in a little while. It's just, I don't know, it's the cherry on top for me personally. But I'm gonna continue kneading this and then I'll come back to y'all on our next step. Okay, we've got a beautiful together dough now. It was quite smooth. We're gonna put it into a bowl. I like using the same bowl that it was in originally. I clean it out, obviously, and I make sure it's nice and beautiful in there before I add the olive oil. But I have found that before, I don't know if this is a tip or not, I try to share what I think might be a tip. It might not be a tip, it might be common sense, but for someone out there who was like me, possibly, I used to just literally drizzle this in, and that's right, but as you can see, like, it's very kind of in just random spots. So now I take my little doodad and I just make sure that it's fully coated. So no matter how the dough, and I try to bring it a little bit higher on the walls, so no matter how big or not big this dough gets, it's getting a full coat all the way over versus just like random spots, because I think that was affecting like my overall bake. So that is what I do. That might be common sense, but for me it wasn't. But now I stand and live by it. So I'm gonna add my dough. She said to flip it over, so I'm gonna flip it over, and then gonna do something also kind of strange. Instead of using saran wrap, because I have terrible saran wrap, it doesn't stick to itself, it just sticks to like me. I use this, and it's always worked perfectly for me. I don't know. This might be a hot take, I'm not quite sure, but I'm just gonna go and let that rest for a little while, and then I'll come back and we'll add all the things that we get to add next, which I'm very excited for. Okay, so it's officially been an hour and 45 minutes-ish. So if this hasn't doubled, then I've done something completely wrong, because I've given it ample amount of time to double in size. Oh. That is not what I was expecting. See how massive that is? Oh my gosh. Oh, and it feels so poofy. I love it. Grabbing more bread flour, and then I'm gonna sprinkle that here. And then we're gonna grab more bread flour and coat this entire thing because we're gonna be using her to roll out our dough. And oh my gosh, this is beautiful. Can you see how massive that is? This is the size of my hand in comparison. That's insane. Okay, so oh, I love how it feels. It feels so nice. And I watched the video and she left it out for an hour and a half, so I don't feel as bad because I thought I had let it proof for far too long, but it's actually really, really good. This is a good spot that I'm in, I think. So I'm gonna try to make a 9 by 13 rectangle was the instruction. Will we get there? I'm not quite sure. We're gonna do our absolute best. I'm not really quite sure what that size looks like, if I'm being honest. So we're just gonna do our absolute best to get it roughly to that size. Oh my gosh, this reminds me of when I made the pain au chocolat for my friend. It was the most beautiful thing to roll out and I loved doing it. Sometimes I'll just have like little flashbacks to things that I've made whenever I'm doing something similar, and just brings joy. So if you ever decide to start your baking journey, just know you'll always have little moments that bring joy to you regardless on what you're making, because you'll have memories of things you made prior. And especially if you're baking with friends or family or little ones, you just have like that memory forever. And it's only been maybe a year for me now, but I feel like those memories are gonna last forever. And I've luckily been able to document them, so I really will have those forever. It just feels so nice. I love the feeling of this dough. Okay, so now we're gonna add 1/4 cup of softened butter that I did previous. I ran out of salted, so we're gonna do unsalted for the filling. And then like I told you, we're gonna do a different filling than what's suggested for the typical cinnamon rolls. So this part's gonna be the same, and then we're very much gonna alter it to fit what we need. This is actual insanity, the amount of butter that has been used on this. I really hope this just makes it really nice and flaky, but to see all this is just so much. Super cute, love her. Okay, now we're gonna make the filling. 1 cup of brown sugar. So I have 1/2 cup here, and then I'm just gonna do that twice. Recipe that I'm using is from another recipe altogether, so honestly, these numbers could change. We're just gonna follow it to a T and then alter it from there. Now we're gonna need a tablespoon of maple syrup, a ton. We're gonna do a full tablespoon of ground cinnamon. So nervous, I don't know why. Okay, so far the consistency is good. We're just gonna keep adding. I'm gonna grab my twine or yarn or thread, whatever you want to call it, and I'm going to grab about 1 inch and just pop this one right off. This will be for me, but it's not going to be very picture worthy or sellable, so I'm going to do the same on the other side so we get a nice like even starting point. Again, for me later. Oh, look at that swirl. Okay. Y'all, are you kidding me? Look how cute. Okay. I like when they're actually touching. I think they kind of rise better when they're touching like this. But we're gonna cover it with a towel and then we're gonna let it proof again. Okay, it's been 30 minutes. These are looking good. We're gonna make the icing as this is baking. We still have 14 minutes left on the timer. If everything goes to plan, it might not. But we're gonna add powdered sugar, beautiful, 2 tablespoons of maple syrup. Mix it all together. Oh, it's a beautiful maple color. I love that. You're joking me right now. Can you see this? Oh my gosh, beautiful. Oh wow, look at that golden, huge. I mean, these things are absolutely massive. Oh, you can get more of the coloring. Look at the lamination though. Wow. Okay, so we have a really good amount of sourdough discard, and I know I said I wanted to make some pumpkin muffins. So I'm thinking making discard pumpkin muffins that also taste like the ones from Panera Bread. So I'm mixing 2 recipes together, and we're gonna see how that goes. If it's terrible, we did our best. If it's amazing, then we're on to something here. It's softened because I did put it in the microwave. I cheated just a little bit. I don't have much time, so I just wanna get her started, you know. I'm gonna add 3 tablespoons of powdered sugar. So there's 1, there's 2, there's 3, and okay, this is what we're working with after a few minutes. Okay, because my discard needs to get at room temperature, we're gonna do the vegetable oil first. There's the second one going in, and then 1 egg. Perfect. Lovely. Also, the first time I ever used pumpkin puree, I thought, because it does smell like it, to be fair, I thought it was gonna taste like pumpkin pie. So I took a very large bite and severely surprised when it didn't taste like pumpkin pie. And that was embarrassing, but we live and we learn. Now I know never to eat this raw, because it's just not good from the can. We need to zhuzh it up, make it taste a little bit better. It's like a waterfall. As soon as it starts, it all comes with it. So I'm just patiently waiting, because it'll give you a false sense of confidence that it's just gonna go this speed forever, and then all of a sudden this happens. And I'm not even joking. Look at that. I've been down this path before. I've seen the telltale signs. Okay. Also, this is 3/4 of a cup. So I have 3 full pints worth. So if you want to see any specific discard recipes, let me know. I have plenty of discard to mess around with. Also, same goes for the pumpkin puree. I have an obscene amount of pumpkin puree. They weren't selling the small jars when I went to buy this originally. So now I just have like a super size, and I could make a pumpkin pie with it. I've never made that before. If you want to see me try, I can do like a discard pie crust maybe, and then make a pumpkin pie from that. But if you have any like die hard, this is my go-to every single fall pumpkin recipe, let me know. I'll try it out. I can always run back to the store and get more and do what we just talked about, which was the pumpkin pie, which now I'm thinking about it, sounds kind of fun. I did want to do that myself this year for Thanksgiving, but I was like, I'll film that later on. But if that's something we're into, we'd like to see now, so you have it before Thanksgiving, I have no issue eating pumpkin pie in September or October. That is totally fine with me. I will eat multiple pumpkin pies if I have to. I mean, for the sake of y'all, of course. Always. I do everything for you guys. I'm gonna mix this together. And then a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Now it's calling for kosher salt, but my kosher salt is very, very coarse, and I don't want to be chomping into a bunch of salt, so we're just gonna take a little bit of an L on that and just use the regular salt. Now we're gonna mix this. I used my big one the last time, so we're just gonna use my mini one. Lovely. I'm just gonna use a spatula to mix this all together. It says do not overmix, like in very large caps. So that's what we're gonna focus on not doing. I think I'm gonna mix a little bit. This is always hard. I need you to tell me word for word what you want me to do in this moment, because I have multiple ideas of what I could do. And this is where my baking roundup videos come into play, because I have to take one thought process and run with it. And that could have been the reason I ended up with a soggy bake or something that's not as good. Like, should I have mixed it, poured all of it together and then mixed it? Should I have mixed it like I did and then pour in one at a time, a little bit at a time? I don't know. I think because this is such a big bowl, I'm gonna do half. Because my head's telling me stir it in slowly, but my heart is also telling me don't overmix in bold caps. So, and then we're gonna bake these muffins off. I'm so excited. That one looks fine. These, not so much. They just are very sunken. This is fun. I think it covers up the ugly. So as you saw, the muffins did not turn out how I wanted them to turn out, and that's okay. This totally was a trial and error situation, but luckily, this recipe that I'm doing right now, this apple butter recipe that I created for my sourdough, turned out amazing. I do have some tweaks that I want to make to it when I end up making them as orders in the future, but like as far as just thought process and then getting it as a final result was awesome. I unfortunately didn't get any audio at the time of filming this. I really tried to film every single thing with audio, but unfortunately you have a little bit of a voiceover. I hope the longer video of me is a little bit better, and then just a small little voiceover at the end is okay with y'all. I'm gonna keep trying to do my best, but I can only do the best that I can. But I'm making the quote unquote apple butter filling now. So I literally shredded an entire Honeycrisp apple, drained the juice of it because apples are so juicy, which is amazing when you're eating it, but I didn't want it to leak and make the overall hydration of the sourdough super, super wet. So then it would basically fall as it was baking. So I drained all of the water out of the apple, and then I put brown sugar, cinnamon, and some melted butter in there. And now, knowing if you're going to make this yourself, I highly recommend it. First of all, the smell in your house is incredible, but I would recommend adding some flour into it. I found like mixing some flour in it will prevent the spread of the brown sugar, because it's beautiful, but it looks like it's burnt when it comes out. And obviously you want a nice golden color, but you don't want it to look burnt. It just was so warm and cinnamony and just like the embodiment of fall, and it was so beautiful, and the swirl was gorgeous. If there's anything I recommend y'all to make, it's definitely to make this loaf of bread. You just feel the epitome of fall in one single slice. And I will say this bread has lasted me a week and a half to 2 weeks, whereas normally a loaf of bread would last me 34 days, depending on, how you store it and whatever. But I will say this is the longest lasting loaf I've had, so I don't know if there's cultures within the brown sugar or something that's making it last a little bit longer, but this will let you have an elongated time to eat it, so you don't have to always cut it in half, put half in the freezer. You can eat the entirety of the loaf, and it's so, so good. But that is all I really had for y'all today. I just wanted to pop in, go over what you were seeing, and then pop right out. But I hope you enjoyed this video. I am so excited to recap everything we made in the month of September, because it was actually a lot. We've improved quite a bit, so I'm really excited to do a little recap video. If you haven't watched it already, go back, watch all the previous videos so you're caught up month to month and you can get baking today. So I will see you on the next video, and I'm so happy that y'all are here.